He tried to taste your love, but his little game revealed something he never expected. He thought he was testing your feelings. He thought he would make you jealous, step back, and watch you quietly come back running towards him. Instead, his plans revealed something that frightened him. You were no longer willing to prove that you loved him. You had told his friends that he wanted to know whether you still cared. According to him, you had become too quiet. You weren't asking where he was. You weren't questioning who he was talking to. You weren't demanding his attention the way you once did. So he decided to test you. Hey there, if this is your first time of coming across my channel, please subscribe. Click on the notification button, like and share. And to my subscribers, thank you for your support. God bless you as you continue to support me to grow. He wanted to create distance and see whether you would whether you would close the gap. He believed that if he became unavailable, you will become desperate for his attention. He didn't realize that your silence was not a strategy, it was the result of everything you had already endured. For a long time, you had given him your patience, you had made sacrifices for the relationship, you had invested your emotions, your time, and your trust because your feelings were sincere. When he needed support, you were present. When he struggled, you encouraged him. When misunderstanding appeared, you tried to resolve them instead of walking away. Your affection was genuine, but there came a point when constant proving your love became exhausting. You began asking yourself why you had to keep convincing someone of something that should have been observed. You loved him, but you were tired of being tested. So when he started pulling away, you didn't chase him. That surprised him. At first, he thought you were simply pretending. He expected you to call after a few hours. You didn't. He waited another day, still nothing. He became uncomfortable. He checked his phone repeatedly, hoping to see your name, but nothing came. Then he started wondering whether his little test has gone too far. He spoke to his friends again. He admitted that things weren't happening the way he expected. His friends asked him, "What did you think she would do?" He didn't have a good answer. He had assumed that your love meant you would always chase him. He had confused emotional attachment with endless tolerance, and now he was beginning to understand the difference. You could love someone sincerely and still refuse to accept behaviors that hurt you. That realization began to change the way he saw the situation. He remembered the times you had reached out first after argument. He remembered how often you had put your pride aside to save the relationship. He remembered the sacrifices you made without asking for recognition. And suddenly he felt ashamed because while you were trying to protect the relationship, he had been testing how much you would tolerate. Then he made the mistake of going even further. He deliberately became colder. He wanted to see whether you would finally react. But instead of confronting him, you accepted the distance. You stopped waiting for his messages. You stopped checking whether he was online or not. You started focusing on your own life, and that was when his confidence began disappearing. He had wanted proof that you cared. Instead, he received proof that you were capable of walking away. That frightened him the more because he finally understood that your silence wasn't punishment, it was peace. You were no longer fighting for a relationship that constantly made you question your worth. And the more he thought about it, the more regret he felt. He had spent so much time trying to measure your love that he failed to appreciate it. He had taken your emotional investment for granted. He had treated your genuine affection as something permanent and guaranteed. Now he was discovering the consequences of the attitude. One evening, he sat with his friends and admitted the truth. I thought she would chase me. His friends looked at him and she didn't. He shook his head. No. There was a long silence. Then he said something that revealed everything. I think I made her I think I made her tired of loving me. Those words stayed with him because he finally understood that people don't always leave because they stop caring. Sometimes they leave because caring has become too painful, and now he was facing a reality he had never prepared for. The woman he tried to taste was no longer interested in passing his test. She had nothing left to prove. If he wanted her back, jealousy wouldn't work, silence wouldn't work, mind games wouldn't work. He would have to approach her with honesty, sincerity, and accountability, because you were no longer asking him to choose you. You had already chosen yourself, and that was the one test he never expected to fail.